Waiting for a streaming source for today's question period. Usually it would have been on there by 5 or 10 minutes ago, and we're just kind of waiting on that. In the meantime, while we wait, what we'll do is we'll check out this piece that they're doing on CPAC about Brian Mulroney. Let's jump into that.
The McCacken budget, the NEP, just about extinguished the entrepreneurial spirit, debilitated the private sector. I can tell you that we are going to re-energize the private sector in this country, because that's the way new jobs are created. And I must say, Mr. Speaker, that it was with sadness when I saw the Right Honourable, the Leader of the Opposition, changer son fusil d'épaule.
Does anybody find this interesting? Brian Mulroney used to live in residence in university
having made observations that were serious and important concerning the National Energy Programme. He then went to Halifax during the electoral campaign, and he said, having consulted with the Bay Street Senator also, Senator Davey,
so I'm keeping an eye out to see when
he was in favor of the program, the National Energy Program.
On another computer, but until then, we're
and a debilitating one.
Watching Brian Mulroney.
I tell you that that kind of retroactive provision is odious. Canadian wealth and prosperity and new opportunities are not built on confiscating somebody's property. I say this because my right honourable friend was, by and large, not responsible. Nor was he responsible for but this is the heritage, for the downgrading of our military obligations.
Hi, Joan, how are you?
The churlish and vexatious treatment of the United States of America, our greatest friend, neighbour and ally, the United Kingdom and others. And we were left with unemployment at tragically high levels, an industrial base that had been gravely eroded, and to which the Leader of the Opposition quite properly addressed his considerable ideas and force of character during the leadership campaign. The industrial base of the country was gravely eroded and has been. The private sector has been undercapitalized and unappreciated by a series of these governments, and yet today, not a word of contrition, not a single little mea culpa for what has happened to the country.
Hey, Charlene,
not an ounce of humility. The Liberal Party has been wiped out in the provinces,
Hi, Janice,
reduced to a rump here, and we don't even get a little "I'm sorry." I'm not asking for much. I'm not asking for much, just a little bit, an acknowledgement that indeed perhaps the Liberals weren't en possession tranquille de la vérité en tout temps.
Did not have the truth all the time, and possibly.
Hey Danielle, what's up? How are you?
As the honourable member for Papineau said.
Hey Monique, what's up?
The Leader of the Opposition, and I say it with all the respect which is due, has the gall to accuse us of anything. When he was in power for 20 years with his colleagues, we have been barely in power for 2 months, but I can tell you already, give us 20 years in power, and I think it's coming, and you will see a transformed nation here.
I don't know where the stream is, guys. It's just not showing up.
We shall transform and change everything at the federal provincial level also. The Leader of the Opposition speaks in a rather derisive fashion of the consultation process and respect vis-à-vis the provinces.
Mulroney wasn't without his fair share of
we believe that
scandals as well. There was
gestures, which
of course, no one wants to say that now, but there was some scandalous activities. He had to sue the government,
which is healthy and noble, but
different things.
One must understand.
But times were better then, yeah.
The honourable member from
just waiting for the stream, guys.
his representative for Quebec, and this will give you an idea of the mentality. That honourable member, who is present here today, said in an important speech given in Quebec that the leader of the opposition at that time, Laval-des-Rapides, I beg your pardon, the honourable member for Laval-des-Rapides, the leader of the opposition leads a party of Orangemen. But that is quite wrong. As the honourable member can see, I lead a party that has Orangemen.
Hi, Sylvia, what's up?
Dame de Saint-Anne, the Kiwanis, the Lions, previous former Liberals, creditists, and all those who believe in a new, prosperous renewal of Canada. And the ridiculous comments of the 40s, which we heard in the 40s, which was the traditional scarecrow of the Liberal Party at that time. But I believe now the Quebec people and the Canadian people, after having thought this well out, they say we shall put an end to this monopoly which the Liberal Party has on the francophone vote throughout the country. End with these follies.
I don't know what's going on,
we shall
guys.
go into a new
it does start
dimension
early
of
on
prosperity
Fridays.
here
It
in
starts
Canada.
at 11:15 Eastern time. So that's 12 AST, which it is now. It's past that.
The leader
not
of the
sure.
opposition,
Hi, Robert, what's
to
up?
my regret, went to the province of Quebec and he found 3 separatists. 3 separatists. I found
I miss politics before
a
Trudeau as well.
saddened population by such statements and determined to repudiate them and determined to bring unity together. The Quebec population and the Canadian
Yeah,
population
guys, I
decided
don't know.
that
We
with
just
such
let it ride until we see a signal. Because, like, I've looked to see if it's
bad
postponed or
attitudes,
anything today,
the
and
Liberal Party
can't
needed
find
a
anything.
period of rest, rejuvenation, and
Strange.
recycling, which I fear will last a long time.
I've already.
I looked
Mr.
at the
Speaker,
schedule,
conveyed
Charlene. Like,
to my friend, the honourable, the leader
let's
of the New Democratic Party.
let's do
my
this, guys.
regrets
I'm going to
of
show you
having
what
to
I
leave,
was looking at.
To leave somewhat
gonna
early to go
pause
to the airport
this.
to
Because
welcome
we
the Prime
will
Minister
find
of
something
France.
else to do if we
before-
can't get this.
taking, before concluding, I just want to say that the agenda
Here.
that before the House, as set out in the throne speech, strikes me as being reasonable and appropriate and
What are
fair
we
for
going
the
to do,
country.
guys?
We seek an end to confrontation. We seek an end to division and conflict. We seek a new era of cooperation and understanding. I'm fully aware of the limitations of the thought itself. I know that there will be difficult moments. I think, for example, of the era of federal-provincial cooperation, where for 15 years, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador asked
Guys,
for
I'm getting
one
it. I'm
thing
just
of
going to
this
show you
government.
what I was looking
They
at.
asked for an honourable deal on the offshore.
So what I
They
was
were
looking
told
at
consistently
was
that you
this,
either do
this
it
highlighted
the Liberal
Friday
government's
down
way,
here.
or it's not going to be done at all.
They're in
And we
session.
applied the
I see that they're out
great
until the
traditions
18th,
of
Charlene, but
building
maybe they're doing
upon
a long
regions
weekend
and
because of
understanding
Mulroney's
the
death.
vitality and the necessity of that strength.
You can see there, though,
And we
that
went
this
in
is
a
the House
spirit
column
of
sitting,
honourable
and so they're
compromise.
supposed to be
And we will
in-house
be back
today.
again to conclude an arrangement with Newfoundland and Labrador with regard to the development of
So
that
I'm not
magnificent
sure.
resource, in the firm belief, A, that people from Newfoundland are entitled to fairness as well, and that what is good and prosperous for Newfoundland is good for
So
Canada.
the thing is, then it should be posted. If they did this early, if they did the question period earlier, if they did the question period earlier, it should be posted, and I should be able to find that to show it again. But it's not posted. I'm pretty confused. I'm pretty confused, guys. What do? We're going to swing over to a Senate question period. That's what we're going to do. So this is going to be Senate question period from yesterday. And the Senate is completely different than the House of Commons, guys. Here, just give me a moment. We'll get that called up. Sorry for all the disorganization, but or confusion. It's not disorganization. I was up early checking this out, making sure that we were going to get a stream.
Leader, the Trudeau got tooth and nail for 4 years to hide the truth about the massive security breach at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. Your government leader defied 4 orders of the House of Commons to produce the uncensored documents.
Calmaru, what's up?
Your government leader sued the Speaker of the House of Commons to keep the documents hidden from Canadians. Now we know why. The documents confirm the communist regime in Beijing infiltrated our most important lab, an unprecedented security breach, leader, presided over by this incompetent Trudeau government. The Prime Minister is not worth the cost to Canada's national security and our reputation, leader. How could your government allow this to happen? Who gets fired for this?
Senator Gold.
Thank you for the question. As Minister Holland said, he believes there was clearly a lax adherence to security protocols and an inadequate understanding of the threats of foreign interference. And although an earnest effort was made to adhere the policies in place at the labs, clearly not with the rigor that was required. And indeed, as the minister also said, the threat with respect to foreign interference was understood in a very different place in 2019 than it is today. And I may quote from him, "While there were proper protocols in place, there was a lax adherence to the security protocols in place, and this was unacceptable." And typically, colleagues, the government will not disclose the names of people or disclose the work, nor would the government disclose the nature of why someone was fired. This is why this is different, because national security and the need for transparency have to be balanced.
That's another huge scandal with that Winnipeg lab.
Answers in front of a mirror to keep a straight face.
Unbelievable.
When reports about this massive security breach were revealed in May 2021, Prime Minister Trudeau said in the other place that Conservative MPs were racist for asking questions about this. Racist. He accused fellow MPs of racism to deflect from his own government's gross incompetence. Leader, when the Prime Minister was making those accusations, he knew the truth about the security breach at the lab, didn't he? On what date did he learn that Beijing had infiltrated the Winnipeg lab?
Senator Gold.
With regard to the information that has been released and redacted, as we understand now, Minister Holland created an ad hoc committee of MPs from all parties to review the unredacted documents that, by the way, colleagues, and especially those in the Conservative caucus who were in government, understand very well are not redacted by ministers or their officials. And in any event, the material that has been released is appropriate for release as understood by our protocols.
I can't find anywhere where it's saying that
Senator Gold, it's not enough just to recognize all the breaches, because the government will be taking weeks and hours and days and months to go through all the breaches of this government. Yeah. The truth of the matter is there's SNC-Lavalin scandal, there's the We Charity scandal, there's the refusal of the IRGC to be listed on the list of terrorist organizations. We have a Arrive scam that has just popped up in the last few months, hundreds of millions of dollars where the government is not forthcoming with information. Emails drugs are being shredded. There's cases being sent to the RCMP. This is not new with this government. And what is not new is also the constant contempt for Parliament whenever Parliament asks for information. There's always stalling going on. You're even suing people to prevent information from being made public. These are all facts, Senator Gold. Yesterday in the House of Commons, there was a committee again that has called on the government to return all expenses regarding a Arrives camp, and also to return and to recoup all money from contractors that were involved in the Arrives camp. Will your government recoup the money from the We charity, going back to that scandal? And will you recoup the money from Laith Malouf, Senator Gold?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you for your questions and comments. All of the issues surrounding Arrive Cam are being investigated properly, whether within CBSA or DND or by the RCMP. And until those investigations are completed, it is inappropriate and improper to assume what the results will be and what next steps government will take. What the government has done at the earliest opportunity when the information became clear was to suspend the contracts with all the companies, and indeed even more recently to investigate an order with regards to Dalian, a review of the whole program to make sure that the programs to benefit Indigenous enterprises are not
hey Andrew, what's
dealt
up? How are
with
you?
improperly by people seeking to take advantage of it.
Senator CHYSTIA.
Senator Gold, you're not answering the question. Did the government recoup the money from the old scandal, the We scandal, the contract you canceled, but money had been paid out? Has the money that were paid out in that scandalous We charity of exercise, was that recouped, that money back for Canadian taxpayers? The money that was paid out to Laith Malouf, the anti-Semite that was fired, was that money recouped by the government? I'd like an answer. And second question. Last week, and over a number of weeks, you told us that the 3 companies involved in the Arrive scam, their contracts have been cancelled. So I'm just asking the questions. Have those contracts been cancelled? And I know, Senator Gold, you're a man of integrity, and you wouldn't want to mislead this.
Senator Gold.
So please give us some honest answers.
I do thank you for your confidence in my integrity. I appreciate that. Until investigations are completed, and until investigations go into all the contracts. For example, Dalian has been doing business with the federal government since 2007. It is only fair and appropriate that proper investigations into the nature of these contracts, what representations were made or made before any action should be taken. That's due process.
I hear you, Joan. I'm tired of it too.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senator Gold, as of February 26th, Health Canada is running a pilot for the next 2 years where they will accept pediatric data that manufacturers already have available and are already submitting to the EU and to the United States. This will, in Health Canada's words, increase access to safety, efficacy, and quality information in pediatric populations and align them with international standards. Indeed, this policy should lead to a significant reduction of the 80% off-label drugs that are being used in pediatric care right now. Health Canada is to be congratulated for making this move after 2 decades of lobbying from both myself and from pediatric leaders across this country. Nevertheless, the devil is in the details. Senator Gold, what will be the indicators Health Canada will use to examine whether or not this pilot is a success?
Senator Gold.
Thank you for your question.
Jumped
Indeed,
up pretty
Health
quick
Canada
there.
is
He's excited
taking
to answer
steps
this
to
one.
increase the availability of data that will help our healthcare providers make the important decisions to which you alluded. I do not have information about the specific indicators that will be used, but I can share with you, colleagues, the basic objectives of the pilot program, and they are as follows: to encourage sponsors to submit in a timely manner the safety and efficacy information for drugs that are expected to be used in pediatric populations, to provide more information on the safety, effectiveness, and dosage of drugs used in pediatric populations, and provide that to the healthcare providers, the patients, and their families, and of course, all with an eye towards informing and improving
Kathleen,
future
what's
policy developments.
Senator Moody.
Senator Gold, will Health Canada, to your knowledge, commit to publishing data on the performance of the pilot at regular intervals so Canadians can see and understand, and medical practitioners, how the pilot is progressing?
Senator Gold.
Thank you for your question. My understanding is that as part of the pilot project, Health Canada will be producing annual reports, which will be public and intended, of course, to keep us, public, and all other constituencies informed.
That must be it.
Senator Petten.
My question is to the government representative in the Senate. Senator Gold, yesterday the Federal Labour Minister Seamus O'Regan announced Canada's first commercial-scale green hydrogen and ammonia facility in Newfoundland and Labrador. The World Energy GH2 project will be receiving a federal loan in the amount of $128 million. While the project is still going through the impact assessment process from the province, it seems to be a positive investment in renewable energy and a step toward reaching Canada's net zero emissions by the 2050 goal. What does the government expect
I don't
the
think there is
impact of this
question period
project
today.
will
We
be on
can't
the
find
local
it
economy?
anywhere. People say that they saw postings that it was cancelled.
Well, thank you for your question, Senator. This is a real opportunity
on behalf
for
of
Newfoundland and Labrador
passing.
and for Canada, because the world is looking for renewable energy. That's where research is going. That's where the markets are going.
So we're
and frankly,
watching
that's where
some
the money
Senate
is going.
question period.
The government
This is from
anticipates that the offshore wind industry will be worth approximately $1 trillion by 2040, and projects such as this will ensure that workers in Newfoundland and Labrador share in their profits. More specifically, it's my understanding that the World Energy GH2, expects that the first phase of the project to create 2,200 direct construction jobs, 400 operations jobs, and a further 4,200
Hi, Marnie
indirect
Sevek.
jobs.
How are you?
Senator Petten.
Senator Gold, the money from the government to support this project is coming from a loan program called the Credit Facility Loan Agreement. What are the details of this loan agreement, including what conditions have to be met and what the repayment schedule will look like over the coming years?
-1's not bad for March 1st.
Colleagues may know that this loan facility, it's a $128 million credit facility. It's a type of prearranged loan. Allows a borrower to access money on an ongoing basis rather than applying for a whole new loan during the cycles. I don't have the details of the agreement. It was signed by Export Development Canada.
Senator Black.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. My question,
hey, Tommy Boy, what's up?
Representative in the Senate chamber. Senator Gold, as you heard in my statement and Senator Meijie's statement earlier today, today is Rare Disease Day. According to the Canadian Organization for Rare Disorders, CORD, the federal government promised a rare disease drug strategy 5 years ago. This March will mark the first anniversary of the announcement of Canada's National Rare Disease Strategy, with the allocation of up to $1.5 billion over 3 years. However, to date, no new drug funding has become available, and not one single Canadian rare disease patient has benefited, despite a huge need for new approved and recommended treatments for life-threatening diseases. I have but one question, Senator Gold. When will the government implement the promised funding through Canada's National Rare Disease Strategy to help treat and care for the 3 million Canadians who live with a rare disease?
Thank you for your question. It's an important one. I don't have a specific timeline for you, but I can say, and colleagues should know, that the Minister of Health has announced the creation of the Implementation Advisory Group for Drugs of Rare Diseases. And over the next 3 years, this group will provide a forum for both patients and for stakeholders to provide patient-centered advice and to exchange rare diseases-related information, as well as the best practice that will inform the implementation of this national strategy. The group includes approximately 20 members from across the rare disease community, including those with lived experience and those who provide or work to provide care for patients, such as clinicians, the pharmaceutical industry, and researchers. I understand that their first meeting has taken place, and this marks the formation of this group marks the continuation of a very critical dialogue between patients, their families and caregivers, and stakeholders in the development and implementation of this national strategy, with an eye to providing better outcomes from those who suffer from rare diseases.
Senator Black.
Nothing.
Senator Gignac.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senator Gold, I think that today we need to hear that your government is on top of the immigration situation. On January 22nd, Minister Miller surprised the academic world by announcing a cap on the total number of foreign students on our territory via a 35% drop in the number of new visas compared to 2023. This morning, that same minister announced that the government is reinstating the visa requirement for Mexican travelers wishing to visit us in Canada, a measure that your government had abolished in 2016. Clearly, this was not warmly received by the Mexican president, who is now threatening, or is saying at least, that he is not ruling out any reprisals against Canada. This is similar to the question I asked on February 13th. Don't you think it's time for your government to convene a national summit on immigration, or at the very least hold a federal provincial conference? Senator Gold, thank you for the question. Dear colleagues, the government's priority has always been and will remain to preserve the integrity of our immigration system while taking an equitable and compassionate approach to people who are fleeing prosecution. I would like to assure you that the decision was not taken lightly. It was taken after deep reflection, and I would like to highlight that it was taken in consultation with the Mexican government and with the provincial governments here. The government will be working closely with the provinces and with all stakeholders on the immigration situation. Senator Gignac, you have the floor. Thank you. Senator Gold, the number of non-permanent residents has almost doubled in 3 years and is now at nearly 2.5 million people, well, at the end of 2023. CIBC's chief economist has stated that this is due to administrative delays in processing work permit renewals. And my question is this. Until we have a clearer picture of this explosion of temporary workers, is it not wise to lower the permanent immigration thresholds to avoid further exacerbating the current housing shortage in Canada? Senator Gold? Canada has been examining complex issues with regard to immigration.
That's true.
And one of them is linked to temporary workers. And finding a balance always has to take place in consultation with the provinces and territories. It's a challenge, but that is the government's role. Senator Seidman.
Doing pretty well. A little confused about where question period went today.
Le 14 décembre 2023, juste l'année dernière, le gouvernement du Canada a publié sur son site web un décret modifiant les annexes 2.
Vaping Products Act. Specifically, the amended order and regulations will establish restrictions on the use of all flavors in vaping products except for tobacco, mint, and menthol, and prohibit all sugars and sweeteners, as well as most flavored ingredients, with limited exceptions to impart tobacco and mint menthol flavors. This is excellent news, yet we are not informed of any timelines as to when these changes will take place. Senator Gold, it has been 5 years since these consultations began on a piece of legislation, S5, which we all know originated right here in our Senate. We now have all the data and the scientific evidence we need. Please tell us when the government plans to finalize these amendments. Senator Gold.
Well, thank you very much for your question and for reminding us of the important work we did in this area and the work that still needs to be done. Finding the tools and the right way to discourage the use, especially by young people, of these products is an important challenge, but an obligation for all governments. I'm not in a position to know exactly when this will be finalized.
Thank you, Spawny. Thank you so much.
The government of Canada
Appreciate
continues to work on it and is working on it
420 somewhere, indeed.
In consultation with the provinces with regard to the marketing and promotion of these issues, which is a part of their responsibility.
Thanks again, Spawny.
Senator Seidman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would hope that you might follow up and find out if they know their intentions as to when this will actually take effect. The federal government prohibited menthol additives in cigarettes in October 2017. Research shows that the Canadian menthol ban led to increases in quitting among menthol smokers. Senator Gold, why are we not adding mint and menthol to the prohibited list of flavors in vaping products, as some provinces are already doing?
Senator Gold.
I'm certainly not in a position to answer your question, but I'll certainly bring these questions and concerns to the attention of the Minister.
Senator Carignan.
Hi, Ian, what's up?
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is for the government representative.
Hi,
I am,
Adam, what's
of
up?
course, a supporter of support for Ukraine. The government announced a series of measures last Friday, one of which drew my attention. $4 million in public funds will be granted for demining activities taking into account gender-specific elements. I was somewhat taken aback when I read that, so I decided to read further and to see that the creation of a working group on gender diversity will be created to ensure that anti-mining activities or demining activities will take into account gender specificity in Ukraine. And I'm really quite confused. Could you explain to me what the link is between demining activities and gender specificity?
Thanks, Michelle.
Senator Gold. Thank you for the question. The Canadian government is a major, stable, devoted ally of the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people.
Hey, Mike, what's up? How are you?
And we have been answering the requests of the Ukrainian government to the utmost of our ability, and the requests from Ukrainian civil society as well. There is no single way of helping out Ukraine. We provide significant military assistance, and that is of the utmost importance. But we also work with Ukraine in areas that are important to that sovereign country, which has a significant relationship with Canada. Senator Carignan? Yes, I understand all of that, and you're making a speech because it's an uncomfortable question. But what is the connection between demining activities and gender identity? It doesn't make sense. Senator Gold? Well, as I was trying to explain, there doesn't have to be a direct connection. What's important is that we are meeting the needs of Ukrainian society and the Ukrainian government on their terms, and we are doing it wisely and appropriately between two sovereign nations.
On the extra, we're going to do a little chat about what is going on in Ukraine. Like,
the government is to be commended for beginning to implement a historic Indigenous child welfare settlement, providing compensation and urgent reform. Left out, however, are thousands of Inuit, Métis, and off-reserve and non-status First Nations children and families. 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court of Canada confirmed both the importance of ending this crisis of state removals as a matter of reconciliation, and that the federal government has full jurisdiction to address this issue. Yesterday, I had the privilege and responsibility of meeting with Cheyenne Stonechild, a young woman directly impacted who is leading the advocacy and legal claims for these youth. I have promised to try and obtain answers to her questions. So in addition to tabling a more detailed written question today, I ask you to assist us in obtaining these answers as expeditiously as possible. May I count on your commitment to do so, Senator Gold?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you very much for your question and for raising what is an important and ongoing issue. Indeed, the Supreme Court of Canada decision was an historic one. and it was a historic moment for Indigenous peoples in their relationship with Canada, as it is for all Canadians as we go forward together. As colleagues know or should know, the settlement it did not affect all Indigenous children, Métis, Inuit, First Nations, and that remains an issue still to be addressed. So I certainly will bring this question to the attention of the Minister, and I will use my best efforts for that information to be fully available.
Sénatrice Miville-Deschênes.
Thank you.
Merci. Senator Miville-Deschênes, thank you. Senator Gold, I would like to ask a question about Bill 63 on online harm. There are some aspects that I welcome concerning the protection of children in particular, but my question is about the criminalization of online hate propaganda. I'm surprised to see that the incitement to genocide, however odious and reprehensible, can carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment rather than 5 years. These maximum sentences are far harsher than for sexual assault or for other repugnant acts. What is the logic behind that? Thank you for your question. The government is taking a comprehensive approach to online harm, and this bill is establishing a distinct regulator for the CRTC or a new regulator to prevent online harm. The bill that was just tabled will be examined, I hope, very closely, because it is very important, and there are a number of issues. You mentioned some of them, and then there are other issues that are linked to online harm as well. There is the proportionality of the sentences as well, and that will be discussed in the House, and I'm sure that when it comes to us, it will also be examined very carefully and studied closely, because it is important to study it carefully to meet Canadians' expectations. Senator Miville-Deschênes. Yes, but on its face, I wonder why there should be such a harsh sentence. We're talking about a maximum sentence of life imprisonment for incitement to genocide. So it is very harsh compared to the previous sentence that existed, which was about 5 years. So I can understand that you don't want to make or to answer a question about the content, but already the bill is being criticized for a reason that I also share. No, Senator Gold. Senator Gold, you have the floor. I think that it is more prudent to wait until the debate starts in the other place, and when the ministerial officials are in committee, they will be able to answer questions far better than I can now, and they will give their reasons for choosing that sentence, for example.
And they're probably going to arrest half the country, shut everybody up.
My question is for Senator Gold. Discussions about routine childhood vaccinations have taken on a new intensity. In fact, according to the Angus Reid Institute, opposition to mandatory childhood vaccination has jumped from 24% to 38% since 2019. They also found that 17% of parents said they are really against vaccinating their kids, compared to only 4% in 2019. Given that data on vaccine hesitancy in Canadian parents was last collected by the Public Health Agency of Canada in 2017, what is the government's plan to bring this research up to date and help Canadians make evidence-informed decisions about vaccine-preventable diseases?
Senator. First and foremost, it's a position of the government.
That's a good one.
Trust all of us that the high rates of vaccination in this country help to prevent the spread of outbreaks of infectious diseases in Canada, many of which can be very serious, if not indeed life-threatening. Colleagues, I'm not aware of any plans at the moment for Public Health Agency of Canada to conduct new research on this time, but I can advise that the agency monitors any new information or any new studies that emerge on this subject and continues to work with provinces, territories, and of course stakeholders on routine childhood immunization. It's so important.
Senator Osler.
Thank you, Senator Gold. And if you could pass
Nova
along
Scotia.
my concerns, I would be appreciated. Vaccine hesitancy was listed as one of the 10 threats to global health in 2019 by the World Health Organization. This poses a significant risk to the province achieved in combating vaccine-preventable diseases such as measles, which we are seeing outbreaks in the U.S. and Europe. According to the Public Health Agency of Canada, doctors and nurses were essential for parents to overcome hesitancy, and therefore, primary health care providers play a key role in driving vaccine acceptance. Considering that 6.5 million Canadians do not have a primary care...
There's so many scandals to keep up with, Ian.
Thank you. Many. One of the reasons that we have low rates of certain infectious disease in Canada is because of the high rate of vaccination that we have launched. There has been, as you know, for the past year, a campaign on routine childhood immunization, which includes marketing materials and others to encourage parents and families to continue to vaccinate their kids.
Time for question period has expired.
All right, guys.
Delayed answers. Réponse différée.
I'm guessing that they're finished. So
Senator
we're
Labouche
jumping
Benson.
over here.
Honourable Senators, I have the honor.
Yeah. So what do you guys want to do? I've got a couple of minutes and we can discuss what my opinions are on Russia and the Ukraine, because these are just my opinions. Not, if you fact checked any of my opinions, you're probably going to find holes. However, something that is real is that it is far away from us. And NATO has been moving in on Russia's borders for, well, since the Cold War, since NATO, that's what they do. And Putin said if NATO comes in to Ukraine, he's going to have an issue with that. They did it anyways. And then the Ukraine had their own government, which was thrown off by, or was taken over by the CIA, and they put Zelensky in place. Like, and again, I'm not for Zelensky or against him. I'm not for Putin or against him. They're just different, and I don't think it's any of our business. Say if we had a referendum here in Canada and Quebec decided they wanted to separate. How would you feel about Putin telling us that we can't? Like, can't do that. And then spending thousands of dollars investing in Quebec's army so that they can separate. Like, and not that that would likely ever happen, but the same thing, like if Texas decided they wanted to separate from the states, I'm pretty sure that any of the administrations in the United States, Biden's right now, certainly would not let Russia be funding the Texas army to separate. Like, and also in Ukraine, they have areas, Donbass, they want to separate there. Like, anyhow, I just don't find that what's going on in the Ukraine is really any of our business here in Canada. And hey, Joseph, what's up? And we're spending so much money, and they're like gaslighting us on it about it all the time, saying that it's a democracy. It's not a democracy. Like, the press has no rights there. There's no freedom of expression. Like, similar to what Canada's turning into. Anyway, that's just my little ramble on the Ukraine. Again, I don't like war. All those young people dying, that like the average age has gone up so much because all the young people have been dying. Like, and how in the heck is Ukraine ever going to win that war, even with the funding of NATO? Like, unless NATO moves right in and wants to go to war with Russia, they can't just continue to fight this war, funding it. Like, anyhow. And they're breaking our nations in the meantime. Like the amount of money that the U.S. government and Canada has given to, it's ridiculous. Like, we need that for our economy. Times are tough in North America. Anyways, guys, it is a futile war. I see Mike just chiming in there. It is a futile war. Like, Russia is so much bigger and so much more prepared for war. Like, and just the munition production out of Russia is so much greater than even NATO's. Like, just saying, it's not our business, and I don't want more of my tax dollars going there when things are so bad here. Like, I see the tent communities in my city, like, popping up all the time. And then we're spending money on this other place, and we're shamed to think that it's a faraway foreign place. It is far away. It is foreign. They have a different culture, different language, different traditions, different history. Everything is different. It is far away and foreign. But in a couple of months, who knows? You might go to jail for thinking something like that because it's going to be considered hate speech when it's just an opinion. I've got no hate on it. Again, it's just, I don't think it's any of my personal business, except that they're spending all of my tax dollars on this war, and I don't agree with war. And anyhow, we're just going to wrap up, guys. I wasn't planning on giving a ramble or a speech on Ukraine, but I was listening to some stuff about it last night, and I just don't feel like it's any of our business. Anyhow, we're going to get wrapping up. I'm sorry for all the confusion earlier. I think they must have canceled question period last minute because, like, I have Charlene that was sending information saying, but when I look, it shows that they're supposed to be sitting today. So I don't know what happened. But they'll be back on, oh, no, they're out for a couple of weeks. So what are we going to do? We'll have to find some stories to tell. That'll be interesting. Anyhow, gang, we're going to get running. I'm Ehren. This is Question Period Canada. It's a blast here all the time. Love this chat room. If you're new to the room today because you found it because you were trying to find the regular question period, check us out, man. We do have a great community here that's growing. We are all people that just want change, know that it's really tough for Canadians these days, too expensive. People can't afford housing. They can't afford groceries. The inflation rate. Like, I'm soon not going to be able to afford my car. Like, it's just tough out there. And I know, like, I don't have it worse than anybody else, but I feel it. That's real. And we're going to go out on that. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, get notified, share it with somebody. Somebody else might be interested in watching Canadian politics with a bunch of positive thinking people. That's what we do here. I'm Ehren, Question Period Canada. Like, subscribe, have something warm to eat. Stay warm and have something healthy and warm to eat. That would be nice. We'll be back later. We'll have more videos. Thank you all for watching. We'll be checking you out real soon. Like and get notified. That's how you'll find our videos. Okay.